Welcome back to First Things First. We're now joined by three-time Super Bowl champ Mark Schlereth. Always a good time when he's in the house.
Guys? It's
How's
always
everything
great
going?
to be with you. Oh, it's awesome.
When you're here.
It's awesome.
Finally bringing in some perspective.
That's
without
right.
All the yelling that
Get
goes
up.
on
Good
sometimes.
things are about to happen.
I love that.
Get up. Let's go.
We're alive. Okay, now what else can we do for the day? All right, let's talk some football. Big game coming up. Eagles are taking on the Panthers tonight. Both teams enter this game at 4-1. Both teams with young, dynamic quarterbacks, Carson Wentz and Cam Newton. Cam Newton is coming off back-to-back 300-yard games and is not taking this matchup lightly.
This is a team that's coming in that's feeling pretty good in themselves, as they should, and we feel pretty good about ourselves as well. But I think, for us, we have to find an edge. We have to find an edge, and then, hopefully, we don't know when that situation is going to be, on Thursday, but we just have to be prepared for it.
It's going to be a late one, and we have an early rise, but we're all, I think this is the kind of game that we're all going to stay up for and see where this one goes. Mark, who's got the edge in this one?
Usually on a Thursday night game, I always go with the home team, and I think I'll go with the home team. I think one of the things that intrigues me about this is that I have seen a shift in the Carolina Panthers, and it's for the better. And the shift has been, and there's so many people that'll talk about Mike Shula, the offense coordinator. Oh, Mike Shula, we don't like Mike Shula. The guy has been tremendous this year, just like he was in 2015.
Yes.
Because this team just said, we're not worried about Cam Newton playing for 15 years or 17 years. We want to get the best out of Cam Newton. And they have completely went back to the 2015 offense where they get 8 carries, quarterback designed carries a game. They open up the play action stuff for Cam Newton, and Cam Newton has been nothing short of brilliant the last 2 weeks. Brilliant. And I credit the coaching staff. Obviously, you credit his athleticism, his understanding of how to do that. But they have gone back and put a player in a position to have success. That's what they've done. And they basically said, listen, you're not the most skilled pocket quarterback on the planet. It's just the way it is. But you have a skill set that nobody else on the planet has, and we're going to take advantage of that. So I give a lot of credit to them. Now, is that a sustainable form of offense? In the long run, when those defensive players are running around out there trying to tattoo you? Probably not.
Don't you think he's a better pocket passer when he's playing like this?
Absolutely. Like in the New England game, the first couple throws of the game, man, he ripped them down the middle of the field. Now, guys were wide open. Don't get me wrong. Because New England is like, they're lost in the secondary. But he ripped a couple. I mean, he set up 5-step, 7-step drop, ripped them down the middle. I was like, whoa. You're watching that game, you're like, that's pretty good. And then they unleashed it on him. And he's been exceptional the last 2 weeks. That offense has been exceptional. And they designed probably 4 or 5 big plays a game, just chunk plays a game where guys are just not even covered. It's been fun to watch them.
It is nice to watch. It's always nice to watch the best players play well. And it's nice to watch for coaches trying to create a system around the player so they get the best out of them. What has Carolina done? They shored up their offensive line. All right. Now, they're still not great at running the ball because the best Carolina's teams from 2 and 3 years ago, or 2 and 4 years ago, they were able to run the ball whenever they wanted.
Right.
Out of a bunch of different formations. So I still think that is something that they're going to have to develop. Their defensive line. What'd they do? They had a Julius Peppers, brought him back home. He leads the team in sacks, second in the NFC, is second in the NFL with 5.5 sacks. That's given them tremendous push on the left side of the defense, on the right side of the game. So it's going to be an interesting matchup because the Eagles are going in shorthanded. The Eagles collectively have one of the best offensive and defensive lines, and so does Carolina.
Shorthanded because Lane Johnson is out this week.
Yes, and there's a couple other players, but Lane Johnson is one of the big pieces.
Who's helped Carson Wentz have the performance he's been having the last couple of weeks?
Yes, Nick has a little something, so I'll let Nick go to.
You have a little something.
So we've spent a lot of time talking about Cam Newton. The other quarterback, Carson Wentz, a guy a ton of people are excited about, and I think rightfully so to a degree. I want to show the audience 2 different quarterbacks, and we're not going to tell you who they are at first. All right, so look at this thing. So quarterback 1, since the beginning of 2016, 98 quarterback rating, 20-5 touchdown interception ratio, over 7 yards per pass. Okay. Quarterback 2, 70 quarterback rating, 6 touchdowns, 12 picks, less than 6 yards per pass. Any idea who those two guys are? You don't have to guess if you don't want to. I'm about to show you.
One of them's not me, if that helps you.
I'm going to say one is, because we're talking about Wentz, one is Wentz. I'd say the first one is going to be, let's see, Alex Smith.
Let's show them. Who are those quarterbacks? Oh, wait, they're both Carson Wentz. That's with Lane Johnson and without Lane Johnson.
Oh, you tricked me.
So, yeah, it was a little unfair. Wait, can we put that back up just for a moment, the whole thing, so people can see? It's not a tiny sample. It's 10 games without him. He's been bad. 11 games with him, he's been excellent. Chris mentioned the Panthers' additions on the defensive line. That, to me, is the key to tonight's game.
Right.
That we are yet to see Carson Wentz be excellent
you know what
in a game without Lane Johnson.
You know what you've just told me right here? The real skill positions play up front.
That was the
right?
keys to
right,
your
the
team.
true. Well, and I will tell you this: Philadelphia's offensive line is outstanding,
Yeah.
and you've got Lane Johnson on one edge, locking that edge down. You've got Jason Peters, who's my favorite player to watch in the league. That dude just dispenses justice. And then you've got Jason Kelce on the inside, who's a phenomenal
brother.
Right, Travis's brother, who's a phenomenal player and is an edge presence. I mean, he sets the edge in the running game from the center position. So they're outstanding. But that is an interesting graphic, and Lane Johnson is, I mean, that dude's a freak show as well.
But also maybe give the fans some insight, because people don't remember last year how Philadelphia started.
Yeah.
They don't know if that was the beginning of the season.
It was
or the end of the season. And, you know, Mr. Johnson, he did miss for a reason, right? Why did he miss?
He was suspended.
For what?
You tell me, CC.
No, you tell me. It's your graphic.
He was suspended for drugs, for
what?
Well, PEDs.
Yeah, steroids.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like you. I benefit of the doubt. Maybe he took the wrong thing, but yeah, I mean, he was suspended for violating.
If we could ever find the rogue supplement company that continues to poison our athletes.
Yeah, all right. So
Right?
suspended for
I've been looking for them.
drugs.
Yeah, but
Yes.
What we don't have a graphic on, and what people don't remember, Nick, they don't remember how this team played. They don't remember how the coaching staff, the head coach, this was his first year coaching. The team got off to a great start. They hit a bunch of stumbling blocks, potholes along the season. Now, you used the graphic that there was the right tackle. Now, it'd be better if he was a left tackle. If he was Jason Peters and we had that same stat, then I would say there's a correlation. But there was a lot of players in Philadelphia. The coach wasn't good. The wide receivers were the worst group of wide receivers in the NFL.
But those wide receivers were there all last year. Like, it's not that those guys didn't change.
They dropped the ball. Remember, they were catching the ball at the beginning of the season, Nick. They start dropping the football. And that has an effect on the quarterback. Forget who's the right tackle. Everyone else was doing their job. The wide receivers played awful. So you got wide receivers dropping balls. You got no type of running game. You got a rookie head coach that I put a lot of responsibility on him. And also you have a rookie from the first half of the season to the second half.
Right.
They got a book on him.
Yeah.
So the numbers have to be adjusted. I wouldn't say it's Lane Johnson as part of their success. I think collectively what they did as a team this offseason, that's why they added Torrey Smith. All right? That's why they added Alshon Jeffries.
Right.
Okay? To make the team better. So we can look at the right tackle. And yes, they're going to miss him tonight. He's a good football player. They got a great defensive line. But I think that the graphic is a little skewed because people won't remember what actually happened last year in Philadelphia, and more than Lance Johnson being out of the lineup happened for them last year.
Let's just get back to tonight real quick before we move on. Would you call this, I know you don't love the phrase, somewhat of a statement game for either of these two teams? Both of these two teams, as CC just mentioned, came in with a lot of questions. Nobody was sure who we were going to get in Carson Wentz this year or who we were going to get in Cam Newton. They're both at 4-1. I mean, unless it's an absolute blowout, it's not going to be one team isn't going to lose drastically because this is a good, even matchup for these two.
It is, and the statement is Thursday night football stinks. Oh. That's the statement, right? Because, I mean, would Lane Johnson play if it was Sunday? Would he be able to make this
Maybe
game?
it's concussion protocol.
Yeah.
He certainly
Right.
can't make it on a
So,
Thursday.
so I'm just saying that it's really hard to make a Thursday night game a statement game. As much as we try to make it real football,
And it's too early.
It's not real football.
But it
It's
counts,
Thursday
but it
night
counts.
football.
It's going to count in the standings.
It will count in the standings.
Okay, did Kansas City have a statement game in New England?
I mean, yeah.
No, just answer the question.
Yes, I think they did.
You know the reason why it was a statement game? Because they won the next week, they won the next week, they won the next. They're undefeated. It wouldn't be a statement game if they had lost. So whoever wins this game, it's a good win But if they don't go on to follow it up, it's not a statement game.
Okay, that's fine, but this is, when Jenna says it counts in the standings, this is a game that if anyone thinks both of these teams are really good teams, both of these teams are potentially teams that are going to be fighting not only to make the playoffs, but for home field advantage in the playoffs,
sure.
Then this game's doubly important.
Right.
Because
players don't think that way.
That's fine.
Players don't think that way.
But a player will sit there and say, if we go into Carolina and we get beat Thursday night game, cards are stacked against us, you know what? It's not indicative of who we are.
Totally
and
fair.
If we play them again,
Sure, I'm just
we'll
saying it's not just the swing in the standings, it's the tiebreaker, which does matter at the end of the year.
It's hard to talk about tiebreakers in October.
We're going to hold it there.
It's
Stick
always
around.
good to talk about tiebreakers, future schedules, prognostications. That's what we do, CC. Come on.
Man, that's what you do.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. Mark's going to still be with us. His big band, The
Dusty,
Problem
give
in
him some
Pittsburgh.
numbers,
That is
please.
next on First Things First. You guys.